Hey guys, so today on my episode of Musings, I have the pleasure of having my good friend, Mr. John Sheridan, on the podcast. John, or Shero rather, he is the owner of a gym here in Canberra called Burley Strength. He's a relatively well-decorated powerlifter. However, his passion has turned more into coaching, as he'll go on to talk about in the podcast today as well. I just want to give you a heads up. Some of the audio through this goes a little bit loud or spikes a bit. There's a couple of different changes in there. It's just difficult. His beautiful vocal tones make it kind of challenging, but also the noise around us in the buildings near us can sometimes be heard in the background. So that aside, I think this is a fantastic podcast. I love catching up with Shero and the conversations we have. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you do, as always, I'd love it if you share it with some of your friends. And we're live in 3. I wish we were Joe Rogan.
We could be.
We could be. Guys, welcome back to yet another beautiful episode of Musings. I'm here with a very dear friend of mine, Mr. John Sheridan, from Burley Strength in Canberra. Well, you're not from Burley Strength. You own Burley Strength.
True.
Yeah,
yes.
Indeed. So, John, thanks for jumping on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very much enjoying this professional setup.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I decided to buy the things.
Now, it's a step above the Facebook Live videos resting on a book being wedged in a corner.
Look, you saw me when I was at the bottom. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now I'm like...
Start at the bottom, now we like a step and a half above the bottom.
Absolutely.
We're working our way up.
Absolutely. So, but mate, thanks. We sort of... we don't do too many interviews or introductions, so to speak, on here, but I would love it if you could just give the listeners a background in who you are and what you're doing, and more importantly, why you do what you do.
Cool. So I can do that. So as you said, my name is John. I own Burley Strength, which is a strength training and powerlifting gym in Fyshwick in Canberra. I have owned that now for, what year is it, 2018, like 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Before that, I ran a gym, which was essentially the same gym, but owned by someone else, called PTC Canberra. I ran that for like 2 years. Some things arose, and I got the opportunity to take over a little bit earlier than I was planning on, but I was never going to say no to that opportunity, so I just made it work. And yeah, now we're sort of here. I've been a competitive powerlifter since 2010. I got into lifting weights when I was like 15 at high school, because I wanted to be a better rugby player, and I played 10 years of rugby through school and after school. Played a bit of first and second grade in Canberra, and then ended my rugby career quite swiftly by throwing a very bad punch and hitting someone in the side of the head and breaking my hand.
Right.
But that was the beginning of my powerlifting career, and I sort of haven't looked back since then. Obviously, I teach people to lift weights and be strong. I do that because I think it's had such a positive impact upon my life. Like I'm 29, I turned 30 this year, and I've been lifting weights for essentially half my life, and not necessarily super seriously in patches of that. I mean, I was a 15-year-old kid at an all-boys school. We did some dumb shit in the gym.
And also in the gym as well.
Yeah, yeah, both. Very much both. And yeah, it's had such a positive impact upon my life that I would like to spread the message that is strength. And for me, I think that the strength piece is not just measured by the number of plates you have on a barbell, but is actually a much deeper sort of philosophical thing about, you know, improving your life through a conscious decision to be better, or attempt to be better. You may not always make it there, but the attempt is there nonetheless.
You said powerlifting career. So when you say powerlifting career...
I'm a professional. I get paid to be a powerlifter.
Right. How much do you get paid?
Not a lot.
Okay. So,
in fact, you could, like, if you graphed it, it would be trending very close to zero.
Right. Okay.
In fact, probably negative. I've probably spent more money than I've ever earned lifting weights.
Right. So very successful. Top 2%
Yeah.
successful lifters.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no. Look, I say career not in the sense that I ever earned money or ever will earn money out of lifting weights. More my competitive career.
Yep. So give me, like, I know that you're strong. So give me an idea of the numbers that you've hit before.
So I am probably at my most competitive as an equipped powerlifter, which 99% of people aren't going to know what that means. It essentially means I get to wear a lot of really tight polyester gear that looks a little bit like it could be bondage gear. That allows me to lift a lot more weight. The analogy I always use in describing this to people who don't know the difference is the difference between high jump and pole vault. So both, in essence, if you look at them as a sport, test how high you can jump.
Yep.
In one, you get to use a piece of equipment that allows you to jump higher, and not all high jumpers are good pole vaulters, and not all pole vaulters are good high jumpers.
Yep.
So in the equipment, my best squat's 410, best bench is 210, my best deadlift's like 270.
Yep.
I've totaled 880 in equipment and 660 without the equipment.
Yep. Cool. Decent numbers.
Yeah, look, I think the peak of my equip career is probably behind me, because I am now a coach, not a lifter.
Yeah.
Like I still compete because it's something I love to do. I can very distinctly remember the moment that I realized I was a coach and not a lifter, and I got I get more satisfaction out of coaching than I do lifting. Like I will always lift weights, I will always train, because it's now such a huge part of my life that I'd never let it go. But for me, I think there was this moment in 2015, I was at the GPC Nationals. We took a team of 14 lifters to Nationals, ran for 6 days or 5 days, 6 days. I competed twice in that week. I competed equipped on Tuesday and raw on Sunday. I hit 2 PB totals, and that was cool. But at the same time, I remember standing on the side of the platform, watching one of my lifters go up for his third squat. Mike Eichels, Mike.
Yep.
And I was more nervous for his squat than he was, and more nervous than I've ever been for my own lifting.
Right, okay.
And I think it was watching him hit that was the moment where I realized, like, yeah, I'm definitely a coach, not so much a lifter.
Yep.
And my priorities shifted. And, I don't make time for training now like I did then.
Okay.
Just, my priorities have changed.
Yeah, okay. Your priorities changed recently in a few different ways. You just had a new addition to your family.
I did.
Which I want to talk a little bit about, because we had a conversation just before the podcast started. But
we did.
But looking at what you're talking about with the coach and athlete, do you think then that people can do coach and athlete at the same time?
Yes.
Well.
Yes, but I think there's always going to be a compromise.
Okay.
I know some very good lifters who are good coaches. I know a lot of good lifters who are terrible coaches. And that's not always because they focus on the lifting angle, but more often because they assume, because they've had success in lifting, that they can therefore pass that success on to someone else. And I think the distinction between what it takes to be a really good athlete and what it takes to be a really good coach, they're quite different skills.
Yep.
I've never been an elite athlete. I say this to people all the time, like, I'm a very mediocre lifter. Always have been. I love it, and I still put all my time and effort into it, but I'm never going to be elite, because I don't have the mindset that is an elite athlete.
Sure.
I think that takes a certain selfishness, that whether that's bad or good is your decision, and I'm not going to judge people based on that. But for me, there was several factors that went into it. Like, I'm never going to make any money as a lifter. As a coach, that's my profession. I am a professional coach, and I make a living coaching.
Yeah.
It's my full-time gig. I don't have anything on the side or anything like that. And I made that conscious choice, and that was a sacrifice I was willing to make in my own lifting. I mean, now my goals have changed in the way I train. I've recently taken up bouldering and a lot of rock climbing stuff.
And you wanted to buy an Airdyne.
I do, but I'm too fat for assault bikes, right, so I've got to get a more expensive version. But yeah, my priorities shifted, and so I moved more to that. I do think you can do both. I think the best coaches are probably the ones that are full-time coaches and put their priority into their athletes first.
Yeah.
I think the ones that try and do lifting and coaching, but focus more, like when the pendulum swings too far towards lifting, your clients are going to suffer.
Yep.
And when it goes the other way, your lifting's going to suffer. Right? And it's just about where that balance is for you. And I think that's different for everyone.
Yeah, the difficult thing is that some people will still want someone to coach them,
yeah,
who's a very high level athlete.
Yep.
but they just want to be coached by someone who's a high level athlete.
Exactly.
Like it's almost like it becomes a status thing. It's like, no, John Sheridan programs for me. It's like I didn't ask.
Yeah.
I've probably done that on some level before, maybe. I've had old mate Pomponio. He programmed for me for a good chunk of time, but I recently had a break from that just because my priorities have shifted in my training as well. And so, but either way, I think I agree with you. It's like you can do both, but if you want to become professional, like you're not seeing, Kobe Bryant in his day coaching.
Yeah.
Right, like it's Chad. He coaches. Chad is rad, by the way.
He is rad.
Yeah, he coaches and that kind of stuff now. But in his pinnacle of competing,
he was a competitor.
Yeah,
and it's just about where you prioritize that. I think the other important thing to mention is that the skill set that it takes to be an elite athlete is very different to the skill set that it takes to be a very good coach.
Yeah.
One of the things is often, I think, the trap that a lot of these really good lifters, and it's especially prevalent in powerlifting because of social media and things like that. Like, you've got to have a presence, you've got to show that you're walking the walk.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. The problem is there's this sort of confusion around like, oh, well, this worked for me, so this is the way.
It's like an ideologue in the industry.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
right?
like this is how I do it, so this is how you should do it. And for me, that's... Like, I obviously have my training philosophy that's been built around the mistakes I've made in training and the things I've learned over time, but I don't claim to have the way. Or even a way. I have a bunch of principles that we can apply, and what that looks like for you is going to be different to what it looks like for someone else.
Yeah.
How I communicate with you is going to be different to how I communicate with someone else. So I think the best people that do both of those are really good communicators who understand the principles, who've had to work their ass off to be really good. Mm-hmm. The people who are the 1%, that, genetic freak who every time they touch a barbell, they get stronger. They're often really great lifters, but because they haven't had to struggle through the process as much, I think they tend towards being a less effective coach. Because ultimately, like, what I've learned about coaching, I've learned by doing a lot of dumb things over the last 15 years. And I've made mistakes and I've done all of that stuff. Whereas if all you've ever done is get stronger and never had any real hurdles to get over, then you're not just going to have the same comprehension of what it takes to get through those, I think.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. I think the overarching principle is like, this was the same thing when I used to do Thai kickboxing. Yeah. And I had the vision. I was 23 when I fought, right? And I started Thai when I was 19. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna, have heaps of fights, and then also run a really successful business, and put all these like, grand ambitions and goals. And I think that's somewhat healthy, but you also need to have a certain level of like, there's a trade-off here. Yeah. And after my first fight, and only fight, I'm not going to go back and fight. I was 66 kilos when I fought, right?
And now like 72.
Yeah, no. So I've bloated back up to about 71. So no.
Fat fuck.
Yeah, I think I've just gone back under 90 recently. But otherwise, since coming back from America last year, I think I got up to around 92. Nice. Which was just minimizing cardio really, and probably a few extra burgers. But either way,
never a bad thing.
No, I was saying it from a bragging point of view.
Yeah, really. Exactly. I'm all about burgers. If I could eat one type of food for the rest of my life, it would be burgers.
It was like I had to think about it. I was like, am I going to run or fight? I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to eat burgers and fight. But
cool, I'm down for that.
Yeah. So, but in that circumstance, understanding what it took to sacrifice just to have a amateur kickboxing fight in Cooma, in a country town, that no one will remember. Yep. And that's where it starts. I'm aware that's where it starts. But what it showed me was what was the difference between a goal and a dream. And I'm like, okay, that was a goal. I wanted to do that. That wasn't a dream. I've got bigger aspirations to be able to make a bigger impact on the fitness industry and beyond. Yep. And I don't think I'm going to be doing that if I am grumpy when I'm trying to cut weight. Like I was 75, went down to 66. Yeah. And so I cut 4.5 kilos or something like that in the last 5 days. And so when people are like, I want to lose weight. It's like, that's not... No, weight's easy. We can do that. Just fucking lose your limb. Weight's not the issue. Nope. So it's, it's interesting anyway. So looking at all that sort of stuff was understanding for me as a business person, and an influential, with a goal to be influential, and mind you, this is 6 years ago, right? Over 6 years ago, and then looking at it from a standpoint of going, I can be a fantastic semi-professional, maybe, or / amateur kickboxer, or I can put my energy and efforts into training other areas that are within the realms of my business, and also coaching and learning and doing all these other things. And I'm like, I've made a decision. Yeah,
man. And I made the same decision. And like I said before, it's a priorities thing, right? And I'm not going to judge you based on your priorities because it's none of my business. Some people want to be elite athletes.
Totally.
When I die, my total's not going to be on my tombstone.
No.
Because actually, in the end, no one really gives a fuck about powerlifting except for powerlifters. And so for me, like, powerlifting is the vehicle that got me into where I am now. And it'll still, I want to keep competing because I really enjoy it. But I never got into it to be the best. I never got into it to, like, win competitions or anything. I did it as a method for testing my progress. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's always been about me. It's never been about anyone else. And I think the people who do both coach and lifter well have that mindset. Like, I compete because it's fun, and if I win, cool. If I don't win, cool. Like, shit happens. But it's not about, okay, I'm going to be the best. It's about, I just want to keep making progress. And if you can get that balance right, then you'll be okay. But I think a lot of people, especially in the powerlifting realm, do a lot of selling themselves on social media based entirely on their own performance and nothing else. Mm-hmm. For me, like, the Burley Strength Facebook page, I think in 2.5 years, I've maybe put my own lifting on there twice. Because actually, my lifting has no real relevance to the results my athletes get. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, it's how I learned what I learned, but it's not as important from a business standpoint as the results the people I coach are getting. Right. Because I can get the results if I just don't talk to anyone and I train full time and do all that sort of shit. Cool. Mm-hmm. But it's about how you can get results for other people.
So, looking at your gym then, and obviously we have somewhat similar gyms and different gyms at the same time. Yeah. And there's both a boom of powerlifting and community facilities. Well, gyms in general for sure, but commercial facilities, and definitely the functional training space, because now your commercial facilities are having to have space.
Yeah, they have to catch up.
Yeah, they're having to do the functional training space as well, which is all well and good. But you, I think, are a very good example, Burley Strength that is, of a gym that's more than a gym. I think we are as well, but observing other community gyms around, some are still just gyms. Yeah. Right? Now, I say that because observing what you do, I mean, you had, Chad was running a seminar out of your gym just the other like a month ago, or maybe a bit longer.
A couple of months ago.
RP have been through there. Egg Cone. Yeah, some pretty big names. So there's an educational arm to it for sure. Yep. And I think you already you run educational seminars as well. And then on top of that, you do charity stuff. Yeah. Right. So all of a sudden, we don't have a gym anymore. No. And this is where I think the future of the industry, if it's not going that way, I think it should. And I think the sooner people realize that people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, at the core of it, they want a family. We want a tribe.
Yeah, exactly.
And tribe can be like, speak to the tribe or find your tribe. It can
be a bit of a wanky
term. It can be wanky as shit, But it's more like, at the core of our being, we want to be a part of something.
Yeah, you want to feel like you belong.
Yep. Indeed, and you want to play a role. Like, it's like a business shouldn't have 15 accountants, right? No. So it's like, okay, well, in that case, people want to have a role within their tribe, and so it's interesting seeing. I think between 50 people, there's something like 1,225 individual relationships. 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, right? And so the community gym cap is around 150, give or take. There's gyms that do more. There's
Dunbar's number.
Yep, and so that's the whole tribal thing. But it's like at 50, there's 1,225 individual relationships. Yeah. So we're not managing a gym.
Like, we're managing a community.
Well, yeah, we're just a part of it. And the other thing about it is that the gym itself, and I think you do this well. I think there's other gyms in Canberra that do it well as well. Is claiming not to know everything and happy to be honest about we're growing, man. We literally have made mistakes in the past. And I'm not saying that just to get your attention, so hopefully I can sell you something. It's like we were wrong. We
Yep.
were wrong. And in the future, we're going to be wrong about something else again.
100%.
But the thing about it is that the business is a living organism. And if you email me or if you call me, you're going to get the chef.
Yeah.
You're not getting the fucking maitre d'.
Yeah.
You're not getting the waiter. You're getting the person that's going to be there and that gives a fuck. And I don't need to tell you that I give a fuck. I open these doors, or if not me, my other business partners, etc. I'll open the doors every single morning, and you rock up. You rock up because you want to be here. And I had a sales call. It was yesterday, and I explained to her, I'm like, look, one of the most important things for our gym, our community, is that people want to be there. And I said to her, I'm like, I'm not saying that if you don't want to be there, then you're not ready and you're not committed and that. I'm saying is that I like whiskey. I don't like gin. So I don't want to go to a distillery that's gin because I don't want to fucking taste anything.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
But I want to be with whiskey. So it's like, find your community, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about it, I think the other community gym owners, the more that they're able to move into this space of charity work and building an educational business, giving people an opportunity to give back within that business, you start to hit more of the human needs and you start to become not just a brand, but a part of a day.
I always like the idea of like that third place.
Yep.
Home, work, where's your third place? I love the idea of my gym being that third place. Somewhere where people come in, they don't necessarily want to train, they just want to come and hang out.
Yep.
Like, I'm all for that. And I think for me, and I say this to every new person who walks through the door or potential new member or anything like that, the community of my gym is the most important part. The equipment's great. Like, we have some world-class equipment. In terms of powerlifting gyms, you won't find a gym that's better set up than ours in Canberra. You won't find a gym that's better set up than ours anywhere in, I think, New South Wales either. That's cool. But we could run the same gym in a 150 square meter warehouse with 2 racks, 2 bars, and enough plates. Right? Because it's not about the equipment. The equipment's nice and it's dressing on top.
Yeah.
But if you don't have what's underneath, that foundational sort of bedrock for things, then you're going to have a really hard time.
It's
Your voice just changed. What did you flick there? It got much deeper.
It did. It got a bit deeper. So I just had to change the setting. So I think one of the biggest things about like the community gyms all over again, it's like some of the best gyms that I've been to don't have the shiniest equipment, right? They're in industrial area that's hard to get to.
Yeah.
I think like we try not to be too industrial here, but it's like probably the best example of that was Westside Barbell.
Yeah. The dingiest fucking place in the world.
Yeah, it really is. And so, but at the same time, it's like it fucking reeks of hard work. And I mean that in the sense of not from smell. I mean that in the sense of it feels like hard work.
Yeah.
The fucking walls are chipped. Not because people don't care, but it's just they probably don't care on some level, but they know that the quality of that wall is not going to improve their performance.
Yeah.
And so it's more like what has happened in between these walls, you can feel. And it's just like, okay, I can see why people want to train here. Like, it's probably not my scene, but I can fucking 100% appreciate that. And it was like some of the best gyms in the world that I've been to don't have all the shiny stuff.
No.
Right. And it's like, if you need, like, the shiny stuff is nice. Like, I've been to...
Oath. Dude, I'm like, if I had $1 million, my gym would look $1 million.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't make it any better just because I had all this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, it really was understanding that you go, okay, like, you can have the nice things and you can do that. And I think that's all well and good. But if you don't have, like, a fucking set of values that you don't even have to, like, tell people about, that people feel... then you've got nothing. It's hollow. And I've seen... So it's the whole, like, Simon Sinek start with why thing.
Yep.
And I'll see a garage gym, pop up on Instagram or Facebook and that kind of stuff. And I'll just watch and observe and then give it 12 to 18 months. Then it's now got a little facility. And it's like, okay, this gym will last. Even if they go through hardships, they'll last. Because they started from pretty much nothing. Whereas the people that are like, let's start this gym, right? And they're not even in the fitness industry.
Let's drop $1 million on equipment and
and we have
a bunch
the
of marketing
biggest,
out.
the best, the shiniest. We got the best coaches, and what happens is they get all the coaches to come to them and like, we'll pay you this, and you know, you can take.
In most
these
cases,
classes.
it's not we'll pay you though. In most cases, it's like, come to us, have your own ABN, have your own insurance, and we'll subcontract to you.
Yeah.
Which is just a whole nother kettle of fish that we can go down.
Yeah, it's fucking challenging, right? But it's really looking at it and going, these, I've seen it happen so many times. People that start with what, not with why, they don't last. They don't last because the shiny car salesman stuff has been overdone in the industry.
Yep.
Right? It's been overdone, and what happens is that it almost becomes untrustworthy. It's like, well, I mean, like, what's the difference between this shiny equipment and that shiny equipment? And you don't really give a fuck.
No, and most people don't know the difference. Like, I don't need to tell people when they walk in that squat bar that they're using is a $1,500 bar, because it's not about the money I spend on the bar. I buy quality equipment because it takes a beating in our gym.
Yeah.
But we started with nothing, man. We had 3 racks, we had 2 benches, and a deadlift bar in a 200 square meter warehouse. Like, I've got photos of it from day one when it was PTC Canberra. Like, it was a tiny little gym, and I think the barrier for entry has definitely been brought up a lot in the industry because people are becoming more established. Businesses like yours have been around for long enough now that it's a bit harder to start something that can be successful in the long term in a tiny little warehouse. But at the same time, if you, like you said, if you have that why behind you, it will be successful.
So this is what's really interesting. So I think if you're starting out, fucking bootstrap it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm still bootstrapping it.
Yeah, you've got nothing to lose, right? I'm talking like run it from a park. I'm talking like pay really like, I don't know what the word is I'm thinking for here, but argue, so to speak, a bargain, a really good deal out of a gym, so you can use the space there. Like it's in the early days, you got to be able to scramble because that's how you end up surviving. So similar to you, I started. I already worked in the industry. I think just under 6.5 years when I started Funk, right?
Yeah, so I'd probably been in the industry for about 2.5, 3 when I was given the opportunity to start running PTC.
Yeah, awesome.
And look, I was fairly fortunate to be in a position where someone else opened the gym and paid me to run it. Yeah. And I got complete free reign and and I built it in a way that was like, I'm going to take over this gym one day.
Yeah, it's taking your opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And so working at one gym for 6 years, when I was 15 to 21, and when I started managing that one when I was 18, and then managed 3 when I was 19, and then I was like, realized there's no other path for growth here. I'm literally just a puppet in some sort of tyrant's rant. And so understanding that, I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Boy, what a tyrant he is.
Yeah, that's another conversation. But I learned so much there, and I did learn a lot from him from a point of work ethic.
Yep.
You're right. And so
I learned a lot about what I don't want.
Yep. For sure. And then people don't understand how important learning what you don't want is. Right? People are like, but I want to do this and I want to know what's right. It's like, you got to know what's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have a bad relationship with someone to understand and appreciate what a good relationship is, right? You have to be a bad person or bad with money to learn about what good with money looks like.
Yep.
And definitely as a coach, I think you got to do a lot of dumb shit. To realize what doesn't work, but also what headspace you were in. So when you get a 17-year-old guy that's fucking just walks through the door and, trying to peacock everything, it's like, I get it, man. Yeah, when you're ready, just come and talk to me, or don't. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's your life, but there's the opportunity there for you. And so I think doing that kind of stuff and going down the wrong path, or at least a path of going, fuck, I don't want that in my future, allows you to sort of dictate.
For sure.
And so there's a lot of power to that. And when I then went and started working for another gym called Eccentric Health and Fitness, right? And I was meant to come on as a partner there. I was paid less, but I'll come on as a partner. I raise this money, etc., etc. And I was good friends with the owner, and her brother was a business person. And then it was that point that I realized I can't work for people. I can work with people, but when I got the understanding that I'm working for these people, I'm like, I'm out. I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to be told what to do. I don't agree with what you're doing. Like I love that still the the chick that owned that, I'm still friends with her today, and I love her. And one of the things I just remember, like, it called her Centric Health and Fitness. And so, but when she answered the phone, it was like, hey, Centric Health and Fitness, David speaking. Like, that wasn't me. That was, that she didn't say David. But either way, just to say the name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if it's called a Centric, shouldn't you be a bit more? And she's like, don't tell me what to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out of this.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not how I want to work. And so, understanding that I had an opportunity to start my business, Funk Fitness Australia, as it was as a sole trader, out of the corner of the Stockade, which is a mixed martial arts gym. And so I had about, I would guess, between 50 to 60 square meters. Now, I could kind of float around the rest of the gym, but I mean, that's all being used by boxers and kickboxers. I'm just the annoying guy in the corner, right?
Yeah.
And I had to pay $20 a week for a client. So I charge a fee, $60 a week or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And $20 of that each would go to the client, would go to the gym, right? And it was going to be capped at $1,000. So if I got to $1,000 worth of clients coming in, right?
Yeah.
So I started with 6 clients. And I just fucking bootstrapped it.
Yeah, man.
And the thing about it is that even though I was 22, people knew that I gave a shit. That people knew that I loved what I was doing. And even though I look back and I made so many mistakes, both in my own understanding of myself and what insecurities I had that ran.
And how you project those onto people.
Totally. Yep, absolutely. And that's a bigger wake up that I had probably closer to 27, really.
Yeah.
Being like, it's the first thought I had is like, no, I'm not doing that. And then later on, because I opened that door, I'm like, fuck, I'm doing
definitely
all this.
doing exactly that.
Yeah, right, okay.
And it's a thing that I'm only, coming to in the last few years is, it's not about my goals. It's not about me leading you. It's about me standing next to you and going, okay, here's the path we're going to walk together. Maybe don't take that avenue, maybe take this avenue. But look, if you want to take that avenue, cool. I'll still be here when you fuck it up and you come back again. And I think that is something that a lot of people, like I'm guilty of it, I think probably everyone who gets into the fitness industry is.
At some point,
Get in and they're always really fucking passionate about it. I fucking love this. And I froth over this shit. I will happily rant on this for hours and hours and hours because I love the whole process of it. But for me, it's like what I really love is helping people, and not even like helping's the wrong word, but supporting people through their journey. And it just so happens that for me, my vehicle for that is strength training.
Sure. Yep.
And it could be a different vehicle altogether, but that's just the vehicle I found, and I am working with that now. But it's not just about the barbell. It's about what lessons can that bar teach you for the rest of your life. Yeah.
So the idea, and what I end up saying to people as well, it's like, look, I'm not in the health industry teaching people.
Yeah.
I'm in the people industry teaching health.
Yep.
And that's a big, big difference.
100%.
Right? And so this is where so many people are so busy trying to sell fitness and trying to sell diets and trying to sell... It's like, you're not in the diet industry.
No.
I know you're making a lot of money there, but you're also causing a lot of problems that you're doing this to, right? You're just blinding yourself to it because your bank account looks good.
Yep.
Now, but look at all these people that I've helped. I'm like, for how long have they helped?
Exactly.
Right? It's this conversation. It's like, the thing that I did that got me the best results it's like, the thing that got you the best results, it's like, do you still have those results in today's life? It's like, no, I put it back on. It's like, then you didn't fucking get anything.
Yeah.
You didn't get fucking anything. And this is the thing, is that we are paying fucking billions of dollars to sacrifice progression for short-term results. And it's like, we need to stop, because it is the dumbest thing. And I said this in my video on Facebook the other day. It's like, do you know how lucky we are as a society that we're trying to lose weight? Do you know what the opposite of that is?
Yeah, dying.
Yeah, starvation.
Yeah.
It's like, do you understand that?
Yeah.
You like, oh, my problem is... No, it's like, that's a fucking issue of affluence. It's so it's actually somewhat easily fixed, because when you live in an affluent world, you're able to go... You're on the spectrum. When you live in a poverty world, you're not on the spectrum. You're at the fucking... there's no spectrum. That's all you have.
Yeah.
And so all you have is starve or try and find some sort of food, right?
Survive.
Yes. Whereas it's like, you live in this world where you have... And it's the choices we make, and we do not realize this. And until... Like, what are you going to refute that? You're like, oh, no, it's the salad. It's not the fucking salad. And I never wanted to be the guy that's like, it's what you're eating. Stop eating shit. But it's kind of like, go full circle and you realize it's like, stop eating shit. Yep. Stop eating shit and move how, like, okay. Eat food that grew from the ground and had a mum.
Yep.
That's it.
I love that as a... And look, I'm as guilty as anyone of indulgence. I am not a small man, for those of you listening and not watching.
Sure. But you don't complain, and you boulder, and you do all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I've never been like, oh, my life is worse because I'm who I am. Like, I made the decisions that got me to where I am, and I am the only one responsible for that, and I'm the only one who's responsible for changing it. And I think the issue kind of goes both ways, right? There's everyone in the fitness industry who wants to project their insecurities on other people, but then there's all these victims who are like, oh, well, I need to be saved, and I need you to teach me all of this stuff because I have to be skinnier, I have to do this. And it's like, well, at a certain point, like, it's a decision that you have to make. I always like the term, and I use it all the time in describing what we do, is ownership. I hate empowerment because it's been a little bit overused by people who don't understand the word.
Let me empower you by telling you what to do.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, that's not empowerment, by the way.
No, exactly. And so for me, it's about ownership. It's about you making the decision that you want to be better, and I will be there for you to support you in that journey. But I'm not going to hold your hand through it. I'm also not a very good cheerleader, and I've had this problem in attempting to train my girlfriend multiple times. In the several years I've owned a gym, we've attempted this several times, and it always fails miserably at some point because she does really well with positive reinforcement.
Even the video man is saying no.
No, but the thing is, I'm not going to get myself into trouble because A, she's probably not going to listen to this, and B, she admits it as much as I do, right?
No, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not good at positive reinforcement. I'm good at saying nothing when you're doing it well, and when you're doing it badly, I'll probably say something. Yeah. And I'm trying to be better at the positive reinforcement thing because I know that some people function really well with that. I'm not going to tell you you're being awesome when you're not.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to lie to you. Because that's not in your best interest in the long term.
Yeah.
And for me, it's about the long term, right?
So that was like our business coach that we both shared for a little while. We've had talks about that before, right? And like, there's many things around that, and I don't want to pull that apart too much, but it was like the amount of times that awesome, I think it was awesome was one of the keywords. And it's like, no, that's not awesome. Like, I understand what you're doing now. Don't tell me that I did something awesome. It doesn't make me feel good. It makes me question your integrity.
Yep.
Right? I don't deal with bullshit. And so, whereas some other people, they're starting out in business. Like, I had already I've sat in fucking lawyers' offices being told I'm about to become bankrupt because of my second gym. Like, a year into my second gym, when everything was going well, and the next thing, it's just happened like that. And this person's like, awesome. I'm like, don't fucking bullshit me.
Yeah.
And it's
Call
just
a spade a spade.
Yeah, indeed. And also that's where it's not this idea of I just tell it how it is. No, fuckface. You tell it how you see it. And that's a really big different distinction, right? That's a really important distinction rather. And so this idea of being honest and understanding that even your own honesty is somewhat filtered.
Yeah.
It's somewhat subjective.
Yeah.
I think is very important. But when you're just telling someone awesome for the sake of making them feel good, you're actually not doing any service long term.
No.
And there's an issue with that. And it almost ties back into the conversation we had before about that kid doing the box jumps. Right? And it's like, I am not concerned. I'm intrigued and curious and slight concerned about what the next generation is going to look like if all we're looking for is positive reinforcement. Now, there is a certain level of this is what we're going to look for. Closer, good. Do that again, but fucking 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then, when you are doing something, and whether the positive or negative reinforcement is there or not, and it doesn't affect you, that's when you're in a good place. When you're able to go, cool, is that look, I need to know if that's what, I'm not here to fuck around. Is that where should I keep doing that? Okay, I can? Good. Yeah. All right. Am I wrong? Am I going down the wrong path?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool.
You're now wasting my time if you're telling me that this is awesome and I'm not moving towards where I need to be.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
And so there's a real certain level for a lot of coaches, and I think a good distinction between coaches and trainers is something that we need to do. And so I want to know for you, how do you make a distinction between trainers and coaches?
I think a lot of it comes down to what you've got written on the back of your shirt.
Okay.
Because if it says coach on the back of your shirt, I don't know if you're always a coach.
Okay.
because I think a lot of that is that need to identify, like, I'm the one that's in charge.
Yeah,
I'm the one that's at the front, and I'm telling you what to do.
It's authority by label, not by presence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you walk into my gym and it's not obvious that I'm in charge and I'm the coach, I'm not doing my job.
Yep. That's exactly right. Yeah, I agree.
I see this all the time in powerlifting. So one of the big things that we do is we host novice powerlifting meets. This is how I got into powerlifting. I went to a local gym. I went to Elite Physique, which at the time when I started competing was the only gym in Canberra that had anything to do with powerlifting. Mm-hmm. I went to their competition. I did it. I knew nothing. I thought I knew everything. I've just started writing a blog series about this. I fucked a lot of shit up in my first meet, but it's what hooked me. And I've been competing for nearly 10 years now. And something I love to do, and now I've built a business on it. But so many people, and there are a lot of coaches in Canberra who bring their lifters to my powerlifting meets, because I'm one of 2 gyms in Canberra that hosts regular powerlifting meets, and the only one that hosts more than 2 a year. We host somewhere between 8 and 10 comps a year.
Okay.
Both novice level, so people who have never competed before, or are still very new to the sport, and then we have the more serious end of things with our GPC comps. And so at a lot of those comps, there's a lot of people who watch their lifters walk up and they talk them through the whole process. And then it's like, okay, get onto the bar, take a breath, okay, stand up, step back, okay, set, do all this. I say very little, if anything, to any of my lifters when they're on the platform. Because if I have to tell you what to do by the time you get to that platform, I have not done my job.
It's an interesting thing, and people will justify that as in like, oh, you don't know what my client needs. It's like, I probably don't, but I don't think you do either.
No, exactly.
And I say that from the sense of like, it's somewhat of a touchy subject, but I'll call it for sure, same as what you're calling it now. It's like, no, that's not empowerment.
No.
What you do there is you create a codependency.
Yes.
And that's a good way to keep clients, and you call it progression, but it's actually not long term, because what you're also teaching them is that there's always a higher authority that knows better than what you know about your body and how you should trust yourself.
Man, and that's the thing for me is, from day one in the fitness industry, working at that place that you worked at, my goal was always make myself redundant.
Yep.
I want to give you all of the information that I have.
Yep.
So you never need me anymore.
Get your clients not to need you. Yes.
Dude, and for me, so the way our membership works, everyone gets a training program to follow. Now, you don't have to use that training program if that's your thing. Cool. If you want to write your own training, that's great. I'm all for that. I'm still here to talk to you about it, though. And I'll give you advice on what I think the best road is for you. But it's not about, the goal is for you to take this over yourself. I don't want you to need my training programs for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah, yep.
Because maybe at some point I don't want to run a gym anymore. Right now, that's definitely not on the cards. But 10 years from now, who knows?
Yep.
Right? And for me, if your client needs you there all the time and they need their hand held, you're not doing your job as a coach. You're a trainer. And that's cool. If all you want to be is a trainer, cool. Is that the best way to push the industry forward and actually make real change in the world? Probably not. Because, like you said, it's a codependency thing. What happens when that trainer leaves?
Yep.
That person stops training. Well, you fucked up.
Yeah, or they need a new mummy or daddy.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I've had so many people come to our gym, go through our first month process, and then never come back. And that's cool. We just weren't the right fit for them.
Yeah, sure.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Some of those people come back 6 months later. All right, cool. I realize, actually what I need is what you're giving us.
Yep.
But for me, that distinction between trainer and coach is the end game. My end game is give you all my tools. I have no secrets. I don't have the way. I don't have some fancy method that I'm going to sell you in an ebook for 7 payments of $400. There's no secret to that. I will answer any question you ask me to the best of my knowledge. And in a lot of cases, I don't know. That's my favorite answer and the most common answer. Well, the most common answer is actually, it depends.
Yeah.
How do I do this? It depends.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you answer every question with a definitive, this is how it happens, you're probably leaning more towards being a trainer than you are a coach.
So trainers have good answers, coaches have good questions.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's where a lot of people are calling themselves coaches for the sake of wanting to be a coach, right?
Yep.
And so it's not like you shouldn't want to be a coach. I think there's a certain healthy level to that on some degree, but there has to be some sort of emotional awareness and emotional intelligence. And a lot of people think that emotional intelligence is understanding you, but emotional intelligence is understanding me.
Yep.
Right? And when I can understand me, then I have a better understanding of you.
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of people lack the scope. And that's where like all my seminars and a lot of my content is based heavily around. It's like, the coaching commandments. It's like, here's the connected coaching seminar. Like, here are the different personality types, so to speak. And it's just like, when you can understand that all of these people communicate differently and that people don't rock up to the gym for different reasons. Right, like I had the inquiry yesterday, and she sent an email through, and she's like, "Okay, I came from Intro November last year, and I'm ready. I think I want to jump in the trial now, right? And it's 1st of June." And I called her, and I'm like, "Look, I get it, and I have the benefit of saying to her, let's call her Emma, right? I go, Emma, I've been in the industry for 14 years. I've had this conversation 1,000 times. I understand. So when you're ready, you let me know, and I'll make sure I'm there to say hello and get you started." And what that is, it's saying that we don't care. We don't care where you're starting.
No.
We don't. There's none of that at all. It's like, and when the person okay, it feels like a safe space, and we joke around safe spaces. I definitely joke around safe spaces because the gym shouldn't be a safe space in many ways, but it should be the safest place in so many other ways. And so our system of safe, strong, sexy relates to movement. It relates to the programming, but it also relates to the gym. It has to be a safe place, has to have a strong community, and it has to have a sexy vision, right? And that allows us to go, okay, if this is a safe place, that people can make themselves feel vulnerable. It's like, yes, now we're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Now we see this person not getting results, we see them getting progression.
Yeah.
We see them moving to the next stage in their lives. And like, that's coaching. The coaching is letting that person, no matter whether they're with you for 12 hours or 12 months or 12 years, that their health IQ has improved during that period. And if it hasn't, if all it's done is just become dependent on you,
you're not doing a job.
Yeah.
Man, for me, the big thing's self-awareness, right?
Yep.
Both in terms of from a movement perspective, like, your gym, like mine, has no mirrors in it. I always joke that it's because I don't want to look at myself in a mirror all day, but also because I don't need you to see what you're seeing in a mirror. I want you to feel it. I want you to be aware of where your body is in space so you can move well. Because ultimately, if you rely on some external stimulus to tell you what you're doing, you're not actually going to get anything out of it. Like, I teach lifting, but what I actually teach is human movement.
Sure. Yep.
And that applies to everything. Like, how you deadlift's just how you pick shit up off the floor.
Yep.
Right? Whether that shit's a nice symmetrical barbell, or your kids, or your shopping, or it doesn't matter. The archetype is the same.
Yep.
And I think too many people go down the road of, like, it's all just about the results. Like, for me, it's about the process. Like, if you make results, cool. If you don't make results, you probably learnt something in that process. And if you didn't learn anything in that process, but also didn't get the results, something went wrong. And that codependency thing, like, it just comes back to that. It's a lack of self-awareness. It's you're giving your authority to someone else. Tell me what to do. Show me how to do it. Like, show me the way.
Yeah.
And I'll just do the work. Like, for me, I don't like mindless exercise. And I say this all the time to people. Like, if you need mindless exercise, you are in the wrong place. What I like is mindful exercise. I want you to be aware of what you're doing. I want you to be present in what you're doing right now. And sometimes that means you turn the music up loud, you don't think too much, and you just fucking train hard. Cool. Other times, it means you maybe don't need heavy metal and gangster rap. I walked into the gym yesterday and Mike was deadlifting, listening to jazz music. It was cool.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Man. Some of my best training sessions happened in dead silence.
Yep.
Right? Because it's about bringing everything into what you're doing right now and being aware of what's going on. And I think that's the really important skill that transfers outside of the physical strength that you get in a gym.
Yeah.
Or the improvement in body composition. Whatever your goal is probably not actually a goal.
No.
It's just window dressing on what the deeper issue is. But
Yeah. It's what we think. Our goal is what we think will give us our goal.
Yeah.
It's like, lose weight. It's like, I want to lose weight. It's like, yeah. I know, of course you want to lose weight. Fucking half the population does. Yeah. So what do you actually want to do? right? Like,
Yeah.
let's talk. You know, I got my dad. My dad is 6'1", hard to believe that he's shorter than me, but he's 6'1". It gives me faith to think that I'm still growing.
Yeah.
So, and
Gonna hit my third growth spurt, 45.
still waiting for my first, man. So, at one stage, I think he was probably around the 110, 108 kilo mark or something, right? So, for his age at the time, like, unhealthy, he needed to lose weight. Now, this wasn't a real conversation, but this is what I describe people as. Describe it to people as if it was. He calls me up and he's like, David, I went to the doctor. He said, I need to lose some weight. You need to help me lose some weight. And I'm like, Dad, I don't think that's what you need. And he goes, David, I'm your father. I went to the doctor. Doctor has more degrees than you do. He said, I need to lose weight, so you need to help me lose weight. And so I go, look, you got two choices. You got, this pill and this pill, right? Blue and red. And I'm like, if you take this pill, you get to lose weight. That's it, right? Or if you take this other pill, you get to go back and play 18 holes of golf rather than hobbling off up to 9. You get to be able to play with your grandchildren. You can go back and play Masters with the old boys in hockey, right? You can fix the fucking shed that you've been talking about for 2 years. You can get off your diabetic and your, pain medication. I go, but you can only choose either one. Which one do you want? The person's going to choose the second column.
Yep.
The reason being is that there's more emotional why attached to it, and it will always come back to that. And so when we realize that the losing the weight, the gaining the strength, they're all, which is fine, it's fine that's where the conversation starts, but they're all superficial reasons for what I really want. I think that's what's going to make me happy.
Yep, conditional happiness.
Thank you very much. It's exactly what it is. And what ends up happening is that I'll only be happy for a little bit until the likes stop on my before and after post. And then how do I get that dopamine hit again? I need my hit, man. I need my hit. And so it's going through that and then going, okay, well, there's more to this. Because you don't get down to 69 kilos, right? And I've never ever...
That's a good number.
Right? I've never ever...
That was the creepiest wink I've ever seen.
You're welcome. Like, in my younger days at a bar, you're talking to a chick. I was never like, hey, just out of curiosity, how much do you weigh? Like, I think it doesn't fucking ever go... No, I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
Right? But it's like, oh, this number will... And if I do that, then all this self-worth and all that kind of shit. It's like,
that number doesn't mean shit.
Nope. No, not at all. And so I think there's a pretty big movement on social media with that. I think on some degree where they're like, yeah, this is me at 60 kilos and then this is me at, I don't really care. And it looks like a healthier individual, right? Especially on the feminine side. But the thing about it is like, okay, that's fine. But why did you post that? And maybe it is from a really good place. And the intent's really important.
Yeah.
People don't understand how important this intent is. But sometimes your intent is still to get the exact same fucking likes that you would have got if it was a before and after. Because it is a before and after.
Yeah.
Just with a different message.
Yeah.
But what's the intent?
Yeah.
And you can tell what the intent is because you listen to someone talk.
Yeah.
And you fucking look at their eyes.
And you watch their actions.
You absolutely, right? And it's not just this like random bit of here's my face. It's this continual deliverance of value for a greater good for your inner community and your fucking, your nation. And until we do that, until we can see that and be honest, our self-awareness, like you said, and have that self-awareness about ourselves to go, why am I posting this?
Yeah.
Right? Why am I sharing this message?
Yeah.
And if there's a little voice that's like, you're a bit sad.
Yeah.
If that little voice is there, you got to make that louder.
Yeah, yeah. And you got to find out where it comes from.
Absolutely.
And what's causing it.
And it also doesn't mean that you're fucking broken.
Yeah.
To think that I haven't put posts up for fucking dopamine hits before is a lie.
Dude. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, where's my validation? Of course I have. The example that I give, right, because this is honest. I was in San Francisco last year, and it was pretty cool. I got to snatch a barbell in front of Golden Gate Bridge, right? But I had to make sure, and if you go back and scroll on my Instagram, you'll see it. I had to make sure that I actually put the weight of the barbell on there because you couldn't tell. Like, well, no one gives a shit, David. But that was an insecure thing for me. Yeah. And to realize that and be honest with myself about that afterwards, I was like, it's making sure people are like, oh, but hey guys, just so you know, it was $1, and here's me talking about it again. Like, it doesn't matter though. Like, it's a different sensation. So the intent of me saying that now is completely different.
Yeah.
And it's like, right. And I remember because I posted it on Instagram and Facebook. It's a cool thing. I actually am happy that I got to do that. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But on Instagram, I posted it. And then on Facebook, I didn't put the weight because I'm like, that felt weird putting it on Instagram, putting the weight. And that was a big shift for me. It was a self-awareness in that moment to go, no one fucking cares.
Yeah, exactly.
You only did that, but no one's going to be like, oh my God, that's the weight he did. That makes me like him more. It's just, it's a fucking fabricated lie of insecure things. And that was the start of a big journey for me.
Yeah, man. And I think, so when I got into powerlifting, my goal was to squat 1,000 pounds. I wanted to be the first in Australia to squat 1,000 pounds. I got close. I'm still the only one in the country that's attempted 1,000 pounds.
Oh, right.
I ended up with 410, which is like 900.
I'm going to attempt 1,000 pounds now.
Cool. Tell me, because I'll come watch.
Yeah. Attempt.
Yeah.
Eccentric.
I like to joke that I've got the heaviest miss in the country.
Yeah, well, it's not a joke. That's
yeah, that's fact.
Yeah.
And it's only now, and there's definitely still a part of me that's like, oh, I could probably still get there.
Yep.
But what are the sacrifices I have to make to get to that number that really doesn't actually mean anything?
Yeah, exactly right.
And I'm fucking satisfied with 410. How many people do you know that can say they squatted 410? Not that many. 2. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of them's on my shirt and the other one's wearing the
I'm
shirt.
looking at both.
Yeah. And for me, it's the realization that like maybe that's as strong as I'm ever going to be in that aspect. And I'm cool with that. Because, like I said, my goals have shifted, my thought process has shifted. But I thought that was what was going to give me this feeling of satisfaction.
So here's the thing. If you're physically strong, but people's words hurt you, you're not strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Strength is way more than a number on a bar.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that, I think training is a fantastic representation of strength, right? I really think it is. And I did a conversation recently about it. I was like every single training session is like a mini hero's journey.
Yeah.
Every single training session, you have the opportunity to push through adversity.
Yeah.
I said the same thing to Liz Craven when she was like, these people say that it's inspirational. I'm like, I'm just deadlifting. It's like, yeah, but what you're doing is that you're rocking up every fucking single day, no matter how you feel, and you're inching yourself closer to your personal potential and greatness, and you do that no matter what, as a mother and a gym owner. And I'm like, so it's not the deadlift that they're inspired about. It's the fucking story, and it's what the deadlift represents, and that's really important to understand.
Yeah, so I always tell people, like, one of the first things you'll see when you walk into my gym now is our records board, and it's fucking big. Like, I made it big, and we put this wall up, and it was like, that's where the records board's going to go. You see it as you walk through the door. There are some big fucking numbers on that board, both on male and female sides, all kind of weight categories. Like, there are some big numbers on there. But that's, like, I'm not going to judge you based on whether you get on that board or not.
Yep.
Because there's only, like, 20 spots on that board.
Yeah. Yeah. So if
I always say to people, like, we don't judge on performance. We judge on effort and character.
Sure. Yep. Absolutely.
If you're a good person who's willing to put in the work, I don't give a fuck how strong or how weak you are, right? Because strong is a relative term, right? Or heavy is a relative term. Mm-hmm. What's heavy for you is maybe not heavy for me.
Sure.
Or vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what your heavy snatches, you fucking staple me to the ground. Mm-hmm. And it's when you start to make the progress when you realize that what other people are doing doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
This is your journey.
That's a very important thing.
And that's what I said. Like, I got into powerlifting for me. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I wanted to be the first in Australia to do it because I thought it was cool. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it was about me doing it, not about beating someone else to it or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was about me doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you can pull away from that comparison, like, having the comparison there is cool because it's nice to see where you sit. Everyone wants to know, like, where are you in the
It's a reference point, right?
Yeah, but the ultimate reference point is, are you better today than you were yesterday? Mm. Are you making steps forward? Mm-hmm. And I think when you get that in your mind, then you're on the right path. Mm-hmm. I think when it's, how do I compare to someone else, you're going to have a hard time. And you're just going to hit a ceiling. Because that how you compare to someone else isn't going to be enough to motivate you through the shit that you're going to have to shovel in order to get where you want to be.
Yeah, yeah. The if you win someone else's game, then both people lose.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's what stops people when they get hurt. Right? Powerlifting especially. I've seen so many people. In the nearly 10 years I've been competing, I have seen dozens, if not hundreds of people who got really good really fast, and 2 years later they've disappeared. Mm-hmm. They're never to be seen again. Never to be heard from again.
Yep.
And it's because they were in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Ed Cohn's a great example. Like, Ed Cohn is, if you talk to any powerlifter in the world, Ed Cohn is the greatest powerlifter ever. And the thing that made him the greatest isn't necessarily the numbers, because people have done more than that now. Yeah, there's an argument for different conditions, that sort of shit. Largely irrelevant. The thing that makes Ed Cohn the best powerlifter ever is he competed for 20 years, and he was the best all of those 20 years.
Right.
It's a longevity thing, right? He was the best all the way through, and he was consistent the whole way through.
Yep.
We worked it out when Ed was in at Burley. He added 20 kilos a year to his total for 20 years. Like, that's a lot of fucking weight to do every year consistently.
Yep.
I think when the goal is, like, where are you in 10 years? Like, for me, I say that to all my lifters all the time. I fucking had an argument with one of my guys the other day who looked at his next training cycle and was like, oh, these numbers are too light. He's like, I could do them right now. That's not the point, man. Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do those numbers.
Yeah.
Because there's no, like, you get nothing out of getting to a point, trying to do a number and failing.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you build gradually over time. You work just below your capacity for a very, very long time, your capacity increases. And when the end game is 10 years from now, it's 20 years from now. Like, I turned 30 this year. In 20 years, when I'm 50, I still want to be lifting weights.
Yep.
Maybe I'm as strong as I am now. Maybe I'm not. I don't really give a fuck. It's about doing what I love to do.
Yeah.
And it's about enabling myself to be in that position for a very long time.
Yeah, a lot of people lose that vision of the long game, right?
Yep.
It's like when you look at the macro, the micro. So think macro, act micro.
Yep.
And in doing so, it allows you to go, here's where I'm going to be in 10 years. That's the plan. What is it I need to do today to set that up?
Yep.
As opposed to...
and sometimes that's take 4 steps backwards.
Well, yeah.
And that's the ego check that I think a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, because I need to have it now.
Yep.
Yeah, microwave society.
Yep, 100%. And I think that, you know, like, you could go into a whole argument about performance-enhancing drugs and things like that. It's that shortcut, right? Like, what do I need to do now? It's what's the way? What's the way now to get me where I need to be? Like, yeah, sure, we can train you in a way that adds 50 kilos to your total in the next 6 months. It's going to hurt, and you're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices.
Yep.
6 months after that, where are you?
Yep.
Because if you're broken and fucked up, like you said, we didn't make any progress.
Yep.
Right? Where are you in 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I care about.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I talk a lot about the 3-year email.
Yeah.
So somebody inquires, it's like, I don't want a 12-week before and after. I want a 3-year email.
Yeah.
I want an email from you in 3 years. It says, thank you so, after 1,000 days.
Yeah.
Thank you so much because of this, I was able to ski with my family. Because of this, I was able to, I felt comfortable at the beach because I just didn't care.
Yep.
Because of this, I was able to actually have a pregnancy. Like, it's these conversations that are like, no, that's what matters.
Yep.
And when we realize that powerlifting, when we realize that functional training, when we realize that community gyms or table tennis or pool or whatever your fucking thing is just a vehicle to doing that, then that's how we make big change long term.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the really important part.
Yeah, indeed. John, I think we have to cycle it up there.
Cool.
I've never said cycle it up before.
I don't know if you should ever say it again.
I think I won't.
Cool.
But I just want to let you know, chat is rad.
Chat is rad.
Mate, thank you very much for jumping on the podcast.
Thank you for
I'm
having
sure
me.
we'll jump you on again. I'm not going to cycle you one or jump you one.
Whatever. I'm down for whatever.
But
pretty easy going.
I think you are. Do you have any last final words?
No, I think we said all we needed to say
for today.
The only thing is, if you're a lady and you like lifting, you should definitely enter our Ladies of Lifting comp, which is on the 5th of August.
Mm-hmm.
If this gets released any time in the next week, there might still be spots. If not, you're shit out of luck, because this comp sells out every year. This is our annual all-female powerlifting comp. It's probably my favourite comp of the year. And last I checked before we started, we'd already sold a third of the spots. So
right.
If you like lifting, get on that shit soon. Otherwise,
where do they go?
Just our website, burleystrength.com, the calendar page.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in there. You can see all our education events and
great
for the rest of the year and stuff like that.
Yep. And where can people find more about you and Burley?
So Burley Strength on Facebook and Instagram. It's just at Burley Strength on both. You can find me on Instagram at JustShero. because I used to have, and this was an interesting conversation about identity that we could go down a rabbit hole later. For a long time, I had the gym name in my Instagram name. It was a decision one day that I came to. I was like, I don't need that to be the defining thing that is my Instagram handle. Like, fuck, Burley Strength is a huge part of me, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting mindset shift.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's mostly pictures of me climbing fake rocks, sometimes real rocks, lots of meat, coffee, beer.
Dogs.
Yeah. Those sort of things.
Indeed. John, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Till next time. Peace and pizza.
Indeed.